next question comes from a fellow YouTuber.
Yes.
So check her channel out. She's got a very young YouTube channel. Talks about the misconceptions on certain women in history, and it's really good. She edits her own videos. Does
Cool.
a fantastic job. She's very funny. DylanMarie sends in this question. You spoke briefly about the heroes of the nerd world, but what villains are your favorite? DC, Marvel, sci-fi? She says this can include characters who can be both villain and hero, which many are or become. Would love to hear your thoughts on a future podcast, as in this one.
This is actually interesting because when I read it initially, I didn't see the sci-fi etc. portion. I just was thinking DC Marvel stuff. Initially my initial thought was my favorite villain of all the comic book stuff is the Green Goblin. Like I've always just really liked that character.
Norman Osborn really is a great villain.
The sinister costume, the glider thing that he flies on and stuff. I just always thought that was a super cool villain. To me, he's the quintessential.
Well, and his
villain.
alter ego Norman Osborn makes him an even better villain because he's a power figure. I think he even becomes president of the United States in the comics.
Yeah,
I mean he's a formidable foe.
Right. Yeah, I think for me, from a comic book perspective, that's one of my favorites. But from when she popped in the sci-fi thing, I had to think about it later, and I went home. And so for all of my Star Trek fans and friends of Star Trek, Khan is my amazing. It is just an amazing villain. Like he's. In that Star Trek universe,
and you're talking about the original Khan from the 1970s.
Yeah, I am. Not Benedict Cumberbatch. I actually enjoyed the retelling of that story. It's not my favorite. There were a lot of mistakes. So that's villains of all time. So go.
Who do you think I was going to say?
I think his name rhymes with Garth Chater.
I actually had to think about that for 1 second. Yeah, I mean, Darth Vader is the greatest villain of all time.
Yep.
And you don't ever see his face, which makes it even more menacing.
Right.
You don't know what's under there. Of course, we see what's under the hood in the prequels when we find out his backstory, which is just a whiny bitch, basically. And,
yeah.
But it's, Darth Vader is the all-time greatest villain, in my own humble opinion. My favorite villain, though, I've had some time to think about this. For the movies, Thanos was a great villain in Infinity War.
Yeah.
He was, and any great villain is going to think they're the hero of their own story. So
right.
Thanos thought he was saving the universe by
getting
rid of half of everything, and
in his own sick, twisted way, you can see what he's trying to achieve.
Yeah, and it, any great villain you can empathize with.
Yeah.
So you can empathize with Thanos in that, especially